Rick, what was your favorite interview while at NBC, CNN, Fox? Which one really stands out to you?
Well, Reagan was good. Carter was fascinating. Gorbachev was good. Fidel Castro was a fascinating interview. And Obama was cool. But I think Bill Clinton was my favorite. And the reason I say that is because he can't help himself. He kind of,
Did he touch you?
I give him credit. What's
He
that?
didn't touch you, did he?
No.
Okay, because I've seen the
but
Family Guy episodes too, and I know he's just that kind of guy. It doesn't matter. He just,
All right. Since you went there, I'm going to tell you a story. So I was living in New Jersey at the time. I was working for Univision and NBC, and all of a sudden I get a phone call and they say it's the president. I run to my studio that I had in the house to do an interview like the one I have here in Florida. And because I needed to get there, I had just come home and I was changing clothes. So I run to the microphone to do the interview with President Clinton, and I realize I'm in my underwear. So I was doing the interview in my underwear, okay? And then I thought to myself, well, this guy did all his good work in his underwear
right.
too. So what the hell? I think we're even.
That's great.
But the interesting thing about that interview, and the reason it always stands out for me, is he fought me like a dog. I mean, the guy was relentless. I was trying to interview him about that young man who came from Cuba. Some people remember it, the Elian Gonzalez episode.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, Mr. President, you're wrong. And the reason, and let me tell you why. And then he took umbrage and he fought me and he started fighting back. And we were supposed to do like a 10-minute interview. 40 minutes later, the Secret Service is literally trying to pull him away from the mic because he wants to fight and argue and tell me, no, you're wrong. And I thought, what an interesting guy that he really gets off on these. Most people, when you interview them, they're more sedate, especially politicians and stuff. That was a funny day interviewing Bill Clinton. He's quite a character. That
in the Speedos. I could have a little.
No, I wasn't wearing Speedos, Gino.
Stop that. Let me ask you the similarities. Give us some similarities amongst, I guess, some people would call these great men, accomplished men. What do you see that sets them apart from others, that if they've achieved greatness? I don't know. I wouldn't call politicians great, but they've aspired to a certain level that most people will never achieve. What do you see in them that they do differently than other people?
Well, I think the obvious thing, and I hate to say this, but I think it's very, very true, is ego. I think ego manifests itself in all of these gentlemen to be able to get to that position where they somehow believe that they are almost deserving of that and kind of act accordingly. And in some ways, look, I mean, it's not to bust their chops. Not that I'm a big fan of anybody who is a politician. And these days, I'm not even a big fan of the presidency as I used to be when I was a young man, given what we've seen in recent years. But that said, I do think that the environment creates the man, especially in American politics these days. Mm-hmm. That whole Abraham Lincoln log cabin thing where a good man just makes it to the top doesn't exist anymore. I think the system is now breeding the people who are leading us. I don't like that, by the way. I wish it went back to finding a man of morals and character, et cetera, and we could kind of build around them. Today, I think the system builds the guy, puts the guy, I mean, with no disrespect to President Biden, but America didn't vote for President Biden in many ways. In many ways, the Democratic Party put him there. And I'm not talking about the election with Trump thing. I'm talking about that the party infrastructure and the powers in that party and the very, very high-ended interlocked corporate interest in this country decided that we needed to have Biden there. So they kind of chose Biden and put him there.
Propped him up.
And I'm not sure that's healthy. So long answer to a short question.
Yeah, but the other thing about all those other guys that you mentioned, Rick, which I think is interesting, is they all dealt with a ton of adversity and they persisted through. So I think that ego is what's needed to carry these guys when the spotlight is on them all the time, because they're going to get attacked on something and they're going to persist. I mean, you look at Trump. I mean, that guy is just taking so many points and he's still hanging in there. I don't know how it's possible, but he's still there.
I'd have backed it in by now.
Yeah, no kidding.